Call to order. Call to order. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Coronado,
Here.
Bennett, here. Mr. Grady,
Here.
Ms. McNair,
Here,
Mr. Miller, here. Mr. Paris.
Here.
Okay, I don't think there's anybody on, so let's have a motion to approve the July 29th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the July 29, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Second,
Second.
discussion. In favor?
Aye.
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 Move. All right, Kev, have one.
Just want to give you guys an update. As you know, we were going out to bond. We do it now once a year or not at all, if we don't need to. We went and hired Standard & Poor's, which we have the last many years. And Standard & Poor's gave us a AAA stable bond rating, which is the highest rating you possibly get. And they also affirmed that rating for all of our outstanding bonds. So it was, if you've had a chance to read the report, it was a resounding positive report, really strong statement to the financial condition, the economic development, management practices across the board. Really strong statement, and that was followed up by 2 weeks later, we actually issued the bonds with a 2.52% net interest rate at just over $335,000 of bond premium. That bond premium was appropriated to the fire truck. That's the last pumper. We'll be receiving that next year. And we owe $400,000. That's the second half of the payment. So if you've had a chance to look at what I emailed out, you can see that our debt service has significant favorability. It's around 400, a little over 450, almost $460,000. I'm sure you all remember that the Griswold School HVAC decision was delayed from when it was originally intended to go forward. They also went out to bid, had some issues, declined all the bids, and went back out to bid for the sand traps, the bunkers at Timberland. Those two delays caused us to delay the bonding because we didn't need the money. Instead of bonding in July, we closed October 9th, so last Thursday. Typically, you don't bond, and then those who buy your bonds don't expect to begin getting principal within a month or two. So typically, if you bond that close to the end of the calendar year, you wait until the next year. So what you're seeing there is all of the principal that had been budgeted with the intent of borrowing in July, plus interest rates that came in lower than we expected. Those combined to be about $458,000. So we can't do anything with that till April 1st because we can't transfer between departments by charter until April 1st. I am going to come to both the council and you and ask that instead of borrowing any amount of the $400,000 for the fire vehicle, that we just supplement the roughly $65,000 between the bond premium and the $400,000 with some of that money and not borrow anything and pay for the fire truck outright. The balance of that, as we get into capital, I think there's an opportunity, if you're so inclined, to consider police vehicles and school vans rather than putting them in the budget. We will be asking, as we talked last year, the cycle of school vans. They bought 8 vans last year, which was huge at catching up to where they were really far behind, but they're still a little bit behind. And given that we've got increased staffing in the police department, and they are going to come through, I'm sure you're not surprised, they asked for 2, and we're granted 1 new full-time. They're going to ask for additional staffing. As we have more staffing and more staff on each shift, it requires vehicles and maintaining vehicles. We have a long time between now and then, and obviously a lot of capital discussion, but I think a lot of really good news for the bond recognition by the street. We had, I think it was 9 groups bidding. And the low bidder and the next low bidder were within about 1/100th of a point of each other. So it wasn't just one outlier who said, "Oh, let me go grab this business." Not to mention the fact it was Raymond James that bought it, so it's not a fly-by-night firm. But we had a pretty tight group, so I think that's a testament to where we are. And it provided funding for the golf course, for HVACs. It would be the down payment on 2 new fire vehicles that Chiefs and Jim Simons are working with. And money for the roof here, which is, I'll call it halfway done, call it roughly halfway done. Then next spring, we'll be looking at using the balance of the money that's left to try to replace out the chillers and do the roof for the community seniors. So a lot of good improvement and a lot of good statements.
Thank you.
I did read the report, and I think one of the things that struck me was how they were very complimentary of management of the town. So Kevin, thank you for your good work. They pointed that out in a couple of different sections of the report, that we have good management, we have good budgetary control, we have long-term planning, and all of those things are very important in terms of where we are, the fund balance management, maintaining decent reserves, trying to pay down more debt than we've been issuing, and some of that's good timing and some of it's just good luck, and some of it is we've really tried to do that in terms of funding. But it's a great report. Hopefully we'll stay at AAA for a long time, and I just want to thank you again.
Yeah, I did all that, Grant. I mean, it's a stellar report. So quick question, how much did we go out to bond for?
Just over $3.5 million. 3,585.
So that covers the roofs, the fire engine, right?
Down payment on fire engine, two smaller.
Timberland sand traps, right?
Yep.
And the HVAC for Hubbard.
That's the Hubbard one.
And what about the remaining amount for Griswold that we said was another $1.8 million that we're gonna?
About $2 million for next year.
That's
well,
next year? That's next
It
year?
would be for next year.
Okay, so that's okay.
You have an opportunity. I will let you know that the superintendent signed the draft Berlin High School report. So after 12 years, I think it was 2013 when we first bonded, maybe 14 years since it started around 2010 or 11. I think we are right on the edge of closing out, and I'm hopeful that we will have the final information to be able to share out in November. I can tell you that Ashley Dorsey, you guys all know Ashley from Finance Operations and Board of Ed. There was a presentation that was done for the local education agencies. And in that, there was a small section that she caught that pointed out that those who participate in open choice have an opportunity to get an additional percentage growth on the reimbursement rate. Because she recognized that and asked the question, we were going back through and said, are we eligible? They added actually the more than 3% to our total reimbursement rate. So without getting into specific numbers until we have the absolute final numbers, you're on the cusp of looking at another year like last year in terms of reimbursement. That would close it out. That would be the final thing. But kudos to Ashley for catching that, seeing that wording, asking the question, and it's a reward, if you will, kicker, spiff, whatever you want to think of from the state for those who participate in open choice, and an additional incentive to do that. I think we can talk more once the money is here, but I think you have an opportunity to look at going into this. You have about $9.7 million of bonding on the table for projects that you would like to do next year. So if the fire engine, if the new fire truck comes off, that's $400,000. That's small, but it's something. I think you have an opportunity to potentially dig into that and continue the trend that Jerry referenced of borrowing less than you're paying down by using that money to look at Griswold, to look at some of the other things while also still being able to invest what is probably going to amount to $3.5 to $5 million to do East Berlin, to do the whole removal of the pool, the building, the splash pad, the pickleball court. It's really a great complex. You might have an opportunity this year to do a lot of those things. That's why I think looking at the debt service that we've saved by delaying the borrowing, you can look at some of the public safety items or the school vans, police vehicles. So that's just kind of a preview in October.
That's good news.
Yeah, there's a lot of good news, a lot of good things.
So the 3% is 3% of what, Kevin?
3% of the total.
Total,
So you
That's
said $81 million for the
Whatever the other
project.
choices. What's 3%?
It's substantial. It is substantial. When we have the final numbers, it can kind of walk through, because when I first got it, I called Ashley and I was like, we got to walk through this. And very quickly, you could see where the numbers came from. It is a substantial
So
difference.
what's the rough number? Without being specific, obviously. 0.4 million.
Like,
Is that a calculation you could share with us?
I can, it's
Not
the draft
now.
report.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once the final report is
yeah.
given, I'll
Yeah.
tear out the final report.
Sure.
I think it's important for
Yeah.
you and for the council to have it, you know. This was a huge project. It was a tremendous amount of work and time to go through the final audit. They literally asked for bidding information and invoices for everything, FF&E, every subcontractor, every one of them. It was to the point where it's so much volume, we had to give them, we had to set up a private folder on Dropbox, because we couldn't email, just so much information. The state really did a comprehensive audit, but it was a well-done project. And I think there's an opportunity to really look at some of those items on the bond list and remove them, rather than necessarily using them for capital that would be in the budget. I think that would be better used this year, but we'll talk more about it as you go through the project.
And the base for that percentage calculation was the total project cost?
Well, the base was the open choice enrollment as a percentage of total school enrollment over the course of the project timeline.
Yeah,
And then that percentage, based on where that landed, went on a sliding scale that the state has for every open choice participant. And then based on that, the percentage was determined, and then that increased percentage was multiplied by the total subject
What's
cost.
the amount of the years?
Sorry,
How many years were there?
I think she did 2010 through 2017. The project went for
Yeah.
several years. It was a huge
Nice.
project.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I mean, Denise, you obviously knew the school before and after. It was a huge,
Yeah.
huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Significant improvement. I know there were controversial aspects of it, but you got a great high school there, and on this side of it, I think diligence and a lot of effort, and I don't think you can overstate when you start seeing the number and actually noticing that point and calling out and questioning is a substantial benefit to the town.
there's no indication that that has to be used for any particular purpose, that service reduction.
No, because you've already borrowed the money and paid it.
I know, but sometimes when you get money in, you have to use it towards your debt service. Nothing like that.
Nothing that they've indicated. I
Good.
mean, if I see it in the final report, I'll see,
Yeah.
but otherwise I would actually use it to avoid debt service while also accomplishing some projects you want to do.
Yeah.
I think you'll have opportunities, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes that leads to more debate, but I think it's a good
Yeah,
problem or challenge to
I
have.
wouldn't want to apply it to debt service if we didn't have to.
Especially with, like I said, you've got a 9.7 million. If you can bring that below 6 and
Yeah.
continue the process, you'll continue to pay down debt while doing some really good things for the community. I think you've got a good opportunity once again this year.
Yeah.
great.
Lots of good news.
I guess it pays to take a month off from doing a board of finance meeting here.
Great.
All right, Jared, can we have a motion on item F2?
Move to appropriate $12,086.25 early voting grant to the early voting grant account in the special grants and donations fund, once all documents have been executed.
Second,
Second.
Second,
discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
aye,
So moved.
Move to appropriate $2,184,128.48 and 4 bridge project reimbursements to the Glen Street Bridge account.
Second,
Second.
Second.
motion? Kevin, I have a question. I understand the money's gonna come back, right? So where does this come from? How do you, where, the 2,184,000, does that come out of, unassigned fund balance?
Several years ago, this project actually started back when Jack Healy was town manager many years ago. There was bonding done to undergo 4 bridges that there was a federal rehab rather than replacement program. So this is the reimbursement that the town received for money that it had put forward.
Okay,
We're trying to recycle it into other bridge projects.
okay, so it's available.
Yeah, this one was a 90% reimbursement, 80% federal, 10% state, 10% local. The Glen Street is actually a new 100% reimbursement federal program. So this money will cycle back and allow us to continue. Eventually, Denise, you probably know the history, I believe Spruce and Farmington Bridge were both approved by the council on the same night. Farmington Ave Bridge, with all of its delays, has been done for a few years. Spruce is on the cusp of getting done, so we want to put money back there and Edgewood to get those bridges replaced as well. And this is specific to the penny, so we can drain that account because the project's done. They're in the final engineering closeout stage. That's why it's so specific. We're just going to take every penny and move it out to use for something else.
Any other questions? Hey, those in favor?
Aye.
So move.
Move to transfer $390,000 from the Edgewood Road Bridge project account to the Glen Street Bridge project account.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Move to
So move.
move to obligate $893,000 in the municipal projects account to the Glen Street Bridge project.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
What do you mean by obligate?
Technically, you guys don't have to do this, but because of the way it was written to the council, it said pending board of finance approval, so I didn't want to just ignore that. This is a grant that the town receives about just shy of 1.6 million a year. Generally, it's used for local road projects in town, but it can be used for bridge projects as well. We have to have the full amount of money available in order for the council to say, I have an appropriation for which I can then award a contract. This is putting the money in place, and as we get reimbursed, we'll put it back into the municipal grants project so it can be used for local roads. So it's really just assembling the money so we can say, there it is.
Any other questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
So move.
Move to approve the transfer of $14,999 from the leaf collector account to the rotary mower, both in the capital non-recurring fund to purchase a new rotary mower.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
They don't need the leaf collector any longer?
They purchased the leaf collector and actually they were able to secure it for less money than they originally intended.
Okay,
They're actually asking you to do rotary mower, which is actually going to have a leaf attachment that they can purchase using Sourcewell, so they can purchase it now and have hopefully for this fall season.
so they already have the leaf collector.
Yes.
Those in favor?
Aye.
So move. All right, Kev.
You know, we're in a good spot. Revenue is a little bit ahead of last year. Tax collection is a little bit ahead of last year. Expenses are a little bit ahead from last year. But we're in good shape so far on everything. Health insurance fund and general insurance fund continue to be strong. The $50,000, which is being used for the local portion, the deductible we owe on the sand traps had already been encumbered about 2 years ago. So this is actually net of that. And we're seeing some rise in health insurance claims, but we are still in a good position on reserves. So I feel pretty good about that. Pensions remain strong. I'm waiting for the valuation numbers. I am hopeful. I haven't been promised this, but the actuaries are looking closely, given where we are with the volume, that it is possible we might not have to fund anything in the closed plan. The numbers been coming down and down. about $290,000 this year in the budget, but 290,000 versus zero, still $290,000.
How many people are left in that?
Three actives,
Still three.
three actives. There's about 11 retirees or beneficiaries. We've had, I think, 4 in the last 12 months pass away.
So if there was zero, that would affect our fund balance contribution.
Enough.
Yeah.
Projects continue to move along. I did reference the 458,000 on the opportunity that we already have that I know we're going to have. And the nurses continue to plug along, which they can. They did have a nurse out on workers' comp, which led to a bit of a revenue lag that you're seeing, but we are working hard to hit that revenue number and also manage their expenses slightly. Wanted to make you aware of a couple of things, but before I do that, are there any questions of the numbers?
I just had a quick question on the fiscal year 25 closeout report. You still had potential low, potential high on there. What is the final result? I mean, you said it's final report, right? Kind of subject to audit. Do we have a final report that shows? This says, potential low, potential high, right? Do you have a final one you're going to publish, or?
I didn't have a final one. Usually the final one I wait for the audit because
Okay.
we're 2 months out. The
So is it
auditors-
closer to the high one, or?
You're in the neighborhood of 500 to 600.
Because what I couldn't relate is if I looked at the total unassigned fund balance, I couldn't reconcile to the numbers on the new one. That's why I'm just trying to, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, because it takes the old one minus all those that were highlighted and starts from there. Because those are ones that we already did.
Yeah, I understand that, but I added back the ones that you've carried forward.
Oh.
And I still couldn't come up with the numbers. We don't need to go through that now, Kevin. Maybe you can reconcile it for me.
Sure.
But,
Sure.
Now, we did, the Griswold one, we did take last fiscal year 25, the $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay. You could just take a look at it for me, Kevin. There's no need to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Couple other things I just want to make you guys aware of. One is next Tuesday, the town manager is going to ask the council for approval of a new headcount. So that will come to you in November. Any new headcount has to be approved by both the council and board of finance by charter. It is a project manager position. With the number of projects that are in place and have been sent to the Public Building Commission. Sorry. It is becoming overwhelming for the Public Works Director to do both his day job and be the liaison for the Public Building Commission. He's doing it, but in the interest of making sure that he can lead all of his teams, that he can accomplish all those, especially as we get into some of these bridge projects, and that the PBC gets the support they need. There is a request to do that, to have that position. We'll be funding it within the budget. You may recall during the budget hearing, there was a question with Mr. Mahoney's position in economic development. There was money there around uncertainty. He has scaled back from about 19 hours a week to 8. And so there's money in that budget, we believe, to cover the roughly half year. The approval, if you guys were to approve it in November, it would go out on the street. We're likely not going to interview and hire somebody around the holidays, so it's going to be the back half of the year. So that will be, the town manager did bring it forward just for discussion with the council and received a series of head nods at the last meeting. So he is going to formally ask for that. If you would like, he has offered to come to the November meeting. Usually the council's meeting is pretty quick because it's one of my next things is our next meeting won't be until November 18th because of the election, and then it'll be right after the swearing in. But if you'd like further explanation, he's certainly willing to come to the meeting. We'll put it later in the agenda so he can join, but it is a position that I think everybody here universally agrees is valuable to the town and needed.
So it's a full-time position.
Yes.
So how much are we looking at with benefits?
You're looking at a salary likely in the $80,000 to $100,000 range.
Is it a department head position or a mid-manager? So would it be a unionized?
It would be unionized mid-manager position. For those who have been around Denise, you'll recognize the name. It's intended basically to replace the Brian Salek position.
Okay, yep.
So Brian was a project manager here in
Yeah.
town. Had to be more than 10 years ago. He wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
He was instrumental early on in the Berlin High School project, as well as numerous others. And it's that position.
The Sage Park building, the storage building out at Sage Park.
Yeah.
You know, when you first go in, a couple of other ones.
And he would reside, his position would ultimately reside under the Public Works Director. He
Yeah.
would work closely with the Public Building Commission. So if you're looking at 80 to 100,000, you could realistically say it's going to be 100 to 125, 100,000 with benefits. Rough numbers, 25%.
There's a job description for it already.
There's a job description that will be, it's going to be presented to the council. It's already been drafted and set up. And then that would be in your packet for next meeting as well. I just wanted to make you guys aware that is coming. Second thing, there is a capital meeting, and I'm being very particular about it is a capital meeting that we will have in November. Capital submissions are actively being worked on by department heads. They're due by October 31st, so I'm hopeful that by later in November, if not by then, at least early December. We intend to do it by Zoom again. It's just easier for a lot of people to attend rather than driving to town hall. Although people are welcome to come to town hall. I will share out the meeting with all of you if you'd like to attend. It's certainly not mandatory, but you're all welcome to attend that meeting as we've got to go through the details.
And what time is the meeting usually? It's mid-afternoon, right?
We usually do in the afternoon. Try to do it a little bit earlier because many of the blue collar folks start 5, 6, 7 in the morning. So obviously a lot of the players in that are facilities. Jim Simons plays a pivotal part. His vehicles are in the plant every year.
Yeah.
So we try to accommodate that by your late morning or late afternoon and those. So
if you zoom it, will you tape it?
I could record it if you'd like.
I would prefer it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just because.
That would be helpful.
Meetings,
Pretty
somebody.
easy to record it.
So, a couple other things, Kevin. I noticed that the V&A is down about 15% in revenue for the first quarter, so. Anything there?
There's only 2 full-time nurses and 1 was out on workers' comp. So it was hard to generate.
So we don't do part-time.
They did use per diem to the extent possible.
So I have asked for a report of how many customers there are. Because this is a business. Are they in Berlin or are they in other towns? I've asked, this is the 3rd time asking for it. So the 3rd time asking for it has been 6 months since I first asked for it.
They did provide me metrics. 98% of their residents are Berlin residents. They're hyper focused and they recognize that in the report. They gave me an average cost per patient of $100 per visit. That is, if you recall, I know it's been a while, but depending on whether you have Medicare or whether you have Medicaid or something else, $100 could be, you could make a little money, break even, or you could be underwater depending on the insurance type. So we teeter in that world there.
So the $100, what does the breakdown cost? Is salary and supplies? Basically. Okay.
Legit. We have really beaten down everything else in that budget.
I agree. I just don't like chasing $1 and spending $2 to chase it out.
Totally. I mean, I agree with you.
Well, it would be interesting to really know if, like, out of $4,000, number of August, $1,000, how much of that service was performed by in-house staff versus was, per diem staff. So, what's the utilization rate of our own people? If it's mostly PT and OT, which we don't have, are our nurses doing anything? And that's what we always ask, you know, it's like, what's
That's what we've always asked.
Because a while back, a long time ago, you know, we had come to find out when they were more fully staffed that most of them were sitting on the bench most of the time. Not that we can get rid of any more, but it's still a number that should be out in the public so people understand this is not a worthwhile business. Sorry.
Has the director completed her training?
She's expected to be done by the end of calendar year, she told me, so she's still taking classes.
It's, so is that cost in these numbers? Because we still, I presume we still have the consultant, obviously.
Yes,
So is that in these numbers, that cost?
well, I mean, that's just revenue,
This is revenue.
but the P and L would reflect her training as well as the consultant, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, it would be interesting to see this, you know, this is revenue, what's the cost comparison, right? That back then, you know, what was their budgetary expenditures for that, what was their per diem cost, whatever, so it would be interesting to say, you know, okay, $41,000 and our cost was 40, or $41,000 and our cost was 60.
Yep.
And we do a monthly P&L that I can share out.
Well, they should share this out, I mean, they should be aware of what they're doing. This is their business.
It's exactly, it's.
I mean, we know what's going on the golf course, right? We know what comes in, we know what it costs, we know where they are at the end of the year.
Well, we do a similar P&L distributed the same day, actually, for the golf course and for the VNA. I can share both out if you like each month, and
Yeah.
you can see that we do fiscal year to date, because month to month can be a little bit misleading, but as you get out.
So in what situation is that 2% of the customer base outside of Berlin? Is it a citizen? Is it a facility? Where is it? Do we know?
I would have to ask her. Historically, they have had people who either did live in Berlin and moved, say, to New Britain or to Middletown or someplace nearby. But there could be other factors. I'm not certain.
So what are you projecting for their bottom line this year? I mean, last year's dead and gone. I mean, with the $415,000 of revenue.
I mean, if the first quarter were to continue, it would definitely be sub 400.
What did we budget for revenue for them?
Same.
700.
No, so it's last year.
I don't remember what actually it was.
450.
Oh, it was only 450.
And they lost $500,000 last year, which I'm never gonna say losing $500,000 is a good thing. But that is substantially better than what had been seen many years before, 700,000 to $1 million.
Yeah, but that's been, sorry for interrupting, but that's been more because we basically said, all right, guys, start cutting losses, let go of people, not so much because they did something different. They go out there and do it. It's more of us saying, wait a second, you guys can't keep doing this.
Yeah, until we get the numbers on how much each visit costs and are able to look at it from the cost perspective, you know, we don't know whether they're improving or just us cutting back the volume has taken care of, you know, some of the issues. And I really think, you know, if this new person is going to stay on, I think we need some kind of a session with her. I don't know if it's just her and us, you know, special kind of thing or whatever, to get her to understand the kind of information we need, you know, to make decent evaluations of what's going on here. We tried to spend a little time with each of the, I don't know, what is it, 5? I think I've been through 5 directors since I started, you know, and we get, yeah. And, you know, we saw through the statistics, you know, that they were telling us stuff that just wasn't right, you know, with the utilization stuff. And if they're not going to focus on cost, we're never going to get to the, you know, to where we are, you know, where we want to be. And, you know.
If you'd like, I
My
can invite her
soapbox.
in. We've done it in prior years when we passed the chair of the VNA board and the director to come in either in January or February and have some conversations before the budget season, so you have an opportunity more in depth.
So my personal opinion, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but that's too late. They should be coming in here in November, December in preparation for the budget season. January, February comes around. But what are we gonna do? Like, there's nothing that we can anticipate or they cannot anticipate without conversations first. Expectations have to be divulged to them. They have to understand what the expectations are.
Well, it would be interesting to see or hear what the B&A Commission's thoughts are. What are they doing, if anything? How do they think things are going?
That's a great point.
Of course, my understanding is they're like half filled.
Mhm.
They can't.
I
get
know there are
anybody on it,
vacancies, yeah.
But there's a chair. I mean, are they doing anything active to try to improve the situation, or they just think it's okay?
I mean, we're all talking taxes. And for the record, no one is talking about shutting down VNA. Let's not get that thing started like it was 2-3 years ago with rumors and lies were being sent out there and not from us. But there has to be a coordination between us and them where this is the money, this is the budget. What are you going to do? I appreciate their service, but again, it's a business.
I would still make the argument that, and I know it would require charter changes or whatever, but I'm not so much concerned about the $1 million, but are we getting the most benefit for the people in the town of Berlin for that $1 million? That's been my questions from the get-go.
Yeah.
You know, servicing 40 people out of 20,000, is that, you know, and we have a huge population of seniors here. You know, more than half the voters are like over 50 or 55. You know.
I agree.
I can ask them to join. Either November.
Well, again, they
December.
don't have the wherewithal in some respects to change that. You know, they can't just go start doing things that we think are a benefit. But we need the metrics to show that this isn't working. And there's a better use of this $1 million, not getting rid of the VNA, but having them focus on different things like care management, things like that.
Well, I think
That's my take.
That's a good conversation to have with them.
That's a good take though.
I mean, it's very confusing for people on what to do in this environment type of deal. There's so many seniors that are confused and get stuck about where do I got this problem, where do I go? Who do I turn to? What can Medicare do? What can Medicaid do? You know, how do I get this done?
And supplementals.
Yeah.
That in itself.
Yeah. Confusing.
Did they stop the marketing campaign that was going on initially, you know, by the previous director? Like, you know, it's a big campaign, you know, and I'm sure she's been busy with going to school and all that stuff and. Yeah, I'm
I
sure.
don't think it's at the same level, but
Yeah.
they do have some tchotchkes and other things.
I mean, it's unfortunate the other director had to leave because I think she was starting to understand, you know.
She was getting it. Yeah. I mean, in the hospitals that are on us are being bought out by the big conglomerate. Hartford Healthcare is buying the one right up here in Waterbury, whatever it is. It's getting smaller and smaller.
Manchester and Rockville are being picked up.
Yeah. UConn's getting into the game of things now.
Aren't they the ones that want to buy the Waterbury?
Yep.
Harvard Healthcare, I think, is buying Rockville and
Yes.
Manchester.
We're running out of. Yeah.
Like,
Um,
the only other thing is, for those that didn't look at the final closeout report for the Board of Education. You know, they did well, they had $387,000 surplus at the end of the year.
Looking at me when
I just want to let you know, I mean, I just want to state it, that's all. 387,000 surplus that they use for technology, equipment, software. Plus they had another 370,000 of open choice funds that they carry forward to the next year and so forth. So, I mean, my only point is it's fine, you know, it's good. But I'm gonna ask some questions in preparation of the next budget cycle, just to make sure I understand what that all means when we go into the next budget cycle.
I understand why you ask those questions. I think those are valid questions, but in the same token, and correct me if numbers are wrong, but they asked for $1.5 million more than we gave them, more or less, right? Something like that. So I get they got 600 to work with and to close out holes and stuff like that, but I mean, the schools right now, like the parents are carrying. I'm cleaning supplies for my kid's classroom. Like parents are
Buying
big cleaning, like the germs, like the stuff for the hands for the kids, paper towels. Like the parents are subsidizing some of the costs that they're not getting. I mean, that's just the reality I'm
If I
seeing
was
every
a
single
parent,
day.
I'd ask, well, I got surplus at the end of the year, why don't you buy some of that stuff?
How can you have a $387,000 surplus and the parents are buying supplies? You don't see a problem with the Board of Ed then?
But look at the budgets from
You're kidding me.
Tim. There are budgets within the BOE that they have not gotten anything. Zero for those types of supplies. That the technology is a behemoth.
We
Like,
give
you
them a
just say-
check and
you just
they
say, "Oh,
distribute
this
the
is-
money where they want.
It's not that they don't get it, they don't budget for it, because they do this, okay? This is what they've done. Is that transparent? Do we see that, or do we see it at the end of the year and they do it?
Well,
Budget it and argue it.
I look forward to March, guys. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, what
Budget
would,
and argue it.
what
Well, I
would,
just
what
wanna
would we
like-
be saying if they, you know, we wouldn't be
Yeah.
having the same conversation if they spent out their budget and said, came back to us and said, we need 370,000 for capital,
Need more money. Yeah.
because we gotta buy these
At that point,
computers.
we're talking.
We'd be moaning
Yeah.
and, you know, how come they need this money? How come they can't find their own money? Blah, blah, blah.
We're covering the capital. The town covers the capital.
Well, now you don't have to.
They got the surplus.
We've already done it and the taxpayers have already paid for it.
So this year it's 387 million. One year it's 1 million, another year it's 2 million. We
I
have
wish
no-
it was 387.
Absolutely no control over any of it, or
I
no,
wanted to make
no
a statement.
observation into what they're doing with it or anything. So they can tell me they do spend it all on technology. I don't know what they're doing.
That's a whole different.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know what they're doing.
If you want to see the bills, we can ask them for the bills.
See it once.
Yeah.
They should be
Well,
budgeting for it. What company does not budget for their technology needs?
We,
I know it's
we
not a
don't,
company,
we don't.
then that's not good on our part.
Of course it's not.
And this-
We've been
this
saying
stuff
that
should
for
be
so many
lifetime.
years.
Should be a lifetime
We've
program.
had
That's
two
what
budgets.
happened with the trucks, with the fire
George,
trucks. with-
Show me our capital budget every year.
We've had two capital budgets that were taken out.
Give a budget.
We've had two capital budgets within our budget that got removed. And now we're going to try and finagle, like, let's get from here to go here to go there. Like, it is what it is. But seriously, February, March. I'd
One
look
other
forward
thing
to it.
to tell you,
Oh.
no, it's not that, well, it's bad, but it's not you guys. Lamentation Mountain Fire, so all of the reimbursement requests put together, the state did a comprehensive review, they approved our submission. We went to submit, we are seeking just over $239,000 back. A lot of that is personnel costs, but some of it is equipment or the equipment related to personnel. Unfortunately, when we went to submit, was actually the very first day where FEMA has been shut down. So their website is, due to the government shutdown, the website is shut down. So we are fully prepared to request. We've been working with the POC, the point of contact from FEMA. They've reviewed everything. We just literally cannot put the files into FEMA Go. I do expect once the government shutdown ends, whenever that happens, the FEMA will be back, the website will be up, and we will be in submitting all the files. They are ready to go. They are just upload to the website. So we should be getting that money back to help with that element.
What would the timetable be?
I knew when the government shut
No,
down.
if it opens tomorrow, the documents go through, what's the timetable to get that money back?
I'd say the initial is probably gonna be within 6 to 8 weeks. Typically, they will go about 2 years auditing the same thing over and over. If history's any indication, but we should get the money back, I would think, fairly quickly. They usually put the money out and then just keep doing administrative work. But it's ready to go. That money will come back. I fully expect the town will be reimbursed for all of those costs incurred. Good news once the shutdown is.
Okay, anything else? Okay,
Do you need to go over anything with this?
The fraud, I sent an email out and I also have hard copies. If you have any of those, you're welcome to fill it out and I will scan and send it to the auditors. You can send it to the auditors. They had just asked for your feedback and it's really, if you're aware of something, if you have concerns of something, them to look into. They just wanted me to reiterate, we are far along in the audit. We've turned over the trial balance. We've turned over numerous files. They are getting ready for their final selection off of our final trial balance. Today I signed the confirmation that went to our town attorney and they're asking him to have it basically mid to late November with an anticipated issue date around December 3rd. So around the same time as last year. So I do not expect any delays or any reason we would not get the December 31 statutory deadline. I still expect a good report that we had a good year.
Can I just stay and ask you a particular question on this? I don't understand one of the questions,
Absolutely.
and I used to deal with all this stuff.
okay, I have a motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, Denise.
Yeah, good
Good night. Thanks.
Good luck, Tim.
See you, Tim. Hey, Tim.
Good night.
Safe travels, Tim.
Yeah.
Back by Christmas.